Hey everyone! Tonight we're continuing on the Splendid Sampler 2, the Adventure Abounds Foundation Paper Piecing Block. So thank you guys so much for being here tonight. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for the beginning crafter. And I am here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. That's 9:30 Eastern and 6:30 Pacific. And it's a time that we can relax and craft here. I'm here for about an hour, and I work on projects from beginning to end, so you can be part of the whole process along the way. So again, you guys, we are continuing on the Adventure Abounds Foundation Paper Pieced Block. And what that means is we are sewing directly onto a foundation paper. So I'm just using a normal piece of paper, but this allows us to get really intricate designs. See, we can get all these different fun angles. This is the one that we're working on now, but another part of this block, we got the little heart done. So by sewing onto a foundation of paper with all the pieces laid out, we can get some pretty intricate designs. So we're gonna continue on that. We are on the last piece. I know we kind of conked out last night, so we're just continuing right where we left off last night. I had just pinned this piece on, and we are gonna sew it. So I'm gonna flip you guys around and we'll get going on that tonight. So nice seeing everyone again. All right. Let's get to the machine right away here, you guys. I think we can get this done tonight, this piece at least. I don't think we'll get the whole block done, but I think we will be getting pretty close to done. So, all right. Remove some of these pins. Ooh, that is stuck on there. Okay, I did test this last night, and it did end up being at a nice spot, so I didn't feel like I had to move my fabric one way or the other. So, all right, let's flip it around. Make sure we're still aligned there. All right, sewing along this line. So thanks again for joining me, everyone. I hope you are having a good Tuesday. Okay. Hey Diane, I'm happy you are here live as well. All right, little back tack and we're done. So we worked on this last month and we are picking it up again this week. Each week we kind of switch projects. So the second full week of the month, we work on the Splendid Sampler 2 here. Eventually, we are going to get this quilt done. It's going to happen eventually here. All right, let's get to the iron. Oh man, already I am making my area messy. I'm trying to get used to when I work on my project. I'm trying to keep everything up above. Oh, I will. I'll look into the sloth issue. I've been a little offline today, so I will check into that for sure. All right, so all these guys are gonna go up here. All right, let's press this open. So I'm finger pressing first. And then we will get the rest. So I have this white background and we are changing these colors each time. And this will all get trimmed too. It's going to be nice and clean like that. But all right, that was F5. We just have 3 more pieces on this one and then we are finished. So, okay, F6. Okay, so we just have 2 fabrics left here, and it's the one with all the swirls. That's what all these squiggles represent, is that fabric, and then this one is the big circle. I do like having a template. When I have my template like this, I do like coloring in what goes where. I find that just so helpful when you have a whole pile of different fabrics. So, all right, let's clean up the seam allowance first. So we just did F5. I'm going to move on to F6. So I'm going to, with my postcard, cover up everything that happened before F6. And then I'm going to ignore everything that happens later. So F7, F8, I'm going to pretend don't exist. I'm going to put it right on that line. Here's my F6. Let's flip this. So it's going to tear a little bit here where we sewed into the seam allowance. That's fine. We'll eventually be tearing all this paper off anyway. All right, let's grab the add a quarter ruler. This again is that ruler that has that little kind of nubbin, that little bump out at a 1/4 inch. There you can kind of see it. So when I fold this, I can just bump it right on there, and I know it's a 1/4 inch seam allowance right away there. So we trim, and we're good to go. So now we have a beautiful seam allowance. We can fold that paper back. Okay, I'm going to get my other template sheet. So I made a copy of this. I just didn't color this one in, but I'm using these pieces as just a little aid for me when cutting out my fabric. So this has been super helpful, just having another copy of this around. Okay. So we're using the squiggle fabric, that's right here. So with the right side of the fabric facing down, so the good side I'm facing down, I need this line here. So this line here to be on a nice straight edge. That's what's going to match up with that perfect straight edge that we just cut there. So this needs to be on a straight edge, and everything else needs to have that generous 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I think, you know, I got kind of a straight edge going right here versus me cutting a whole new one. So I'm about a 1/4 inch away, a little over a 1/4 inch away from where that straight edge is, the one that matches up with our piece here. And the rest, I'm just going to cut a kind of a generous 1/4 inch seam allowance around here. The bigger the better on this, the less I have to fumble around with lining things up, the bigger my kind of generous seam allowance is. So I like going about a 1/2 inch or so, and I'm just making a blob. I'm not even, you know, it's got a big chunk out. That doesn't matter at all. What I'm worried about is that I got this nice straight edge here, and that I have at least enough to cover this piece by a good 1/4 inch. All right, so let's take this edge here, and it matches up to this edge. I don't need my template piece anymore. And now let's flip them so the right sides are together. So I'm just going to kind of meet those seams and then fold them like that. So I'm just lining it up along this edge. Okay, so I'm kind of guessing, I'm guessing I probably don't need to go all the way up here, but I probably don't want to go all the way down here. I'm just going to go right in the middle, and then we're going to check to see if that's the right spot. I mean, I might actually need to move it up or down a little bit. I'm not quite sure. So we're going to test that by flipping it around. Ooh, I might have to actually scooch it up quite a bit. Let's take a look. So I'm going to pretend so. I'm doing that by just putting in a couple pins along that line. All right, and then I'm going to pretend to press. And our goal, again, is to have covered our F6 piece plus have a generous seam allowance. And I clearly have enough seam allowance down here. And I have tons over here too. So we're actually totally fine. I think we're actually probably a little bit up this way a little bit. But because I cut my seam allowances so exaggerated, so large, even if I am a bit that way, I still don't have to move my piece at all. I don't have to be super finicky. So we're actually good. I'm not even going to bother adjusting that down a little bit. I think we're totally fine. So I'm going to sew along that line right there. All right. So how is everyone's week going so far? I cannot believe it's only Tuesday. I actually, when I say it's Tuesday out loud, I kind of feel like, am I even right? All these days are totally blending together in a giant mishmash here. Ooh, I didn't grab both threads here, so I don't know where the other thread is. Let's just try. Hopefully I don't run into like a big mess underneath my machine here. Usually I hold the threads as I start sewing. All right, I'm in the seam allowance and I'm gonna sew up that line, and I'm gonna stop when I hit this other piece here. Are we doing another Splendid Sampler block or free motion quilting? Oh, that's a good question. I was thinking I'd start another Splendid Sampler block when we're done here. I was kind of thinking I'd just start at the beginning of the list in the book. There's a list of all the blocks that come with the book, and I've been using I've been crossing out the ones that I have done. I was kind of thinking of just going straight down the list and getting them done as we go. But that's true. We could actually do some free motion quilting on it as well. So I'm quilting as I go, which means that I'm quilting this entire quilt in smaller chunks. And then I'm going to sew those chunks together later. So we have been gradually free motion quilting this, and that actually could be pretty relaxing. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I think this block, we kind of peaked last night. We peaked last night at what the next block might be, and it looked pretty easy and quick. So I'm thinking maybe if we finish this one pretty quickly here, maybe we do that one. Maybe we can finish that one this week as well. And then maybe next time we work on this project, which would be next month, maybe we don't work on any blocks and we only free motion quilt. That would be kind of fun. We haven't had like a little break from the sewing for a little while to do some quilting. I think that'd be kind of neat. I will have to think about that for sure. All right, let's flip this around. Okay, done with F6. We're moving on to F7. Tomorrow I will get all of my blocks out that I have so far, and I will I'll show you guys what I mean with the free motion quilting and the quilt as you go. It would be kind of fun to do a little bit of that. I've not actually tried free motion quilting on this machine. I would probably have to get my other my other Kenmore for us with the feed dogs that are all the way down. All right, coming along, just 2 more pieces. Okay, let's grab that F7 piece to help me trim these out. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I mean, I could technically probably free motion quilt on this machine, but I think I'd have to remove the feed dogs, like completely take them off the machine somehow, which I have not done. And I think I'd have to take the foot off too. So it would be just like an open needle that I'd probably stab myself with. So that frightens me. So I mean, technically as a sewing machine, I'm sure it can free motion quilt. I'm sure I can maneuver it to have that capability, but I am not positive that that's a good idea. All right, so I'm just looking at this F7, the piece, the line that matches up with the line that we just cut there is this one here. So now this is the line that I need to have on the nice straight edge, not this one or this one. So it's this line that we're looking for. And, you know, I might just trim a new straight edge here because the rest of this piece we could use. Might as well cut off this weird little nubbin. So when you don't have a straight edge, you have to make your own. So I'm just going to give this a little trim. Okay, so now I have my nice straight edge. That can be about the 1/4 inch, and then the rest, let's get rid of this guy down here. The rest we'll just trim out of there. There we go. Does not have to be pretty. All right, and actually that was our last, we don't need the white fabric anymore. So we can plop that away. Actually, the only fabric left is the circle fabric here. All right, so let's line up these pieces along our 2 matching super straight lines and put them right sides together. All right, now here I think I'll probably be fine without doing a test. I'm just gonna do a quick fold over. And yeah, we totally have that F7 piece covered. I'm not worried. So let's fold that back, match up our lines again there. And all right, let's sew that. Oh man, I think some of you guys might have been here when I tried, this is a couple of years ago, when I was trying to do the sourdough starter. I did actually manage to make a few loaves of bread out of it, but man, you gotta be feeding that thing, feeding that sourdough, and I mean, it's like a monster. You gotta be feeding it and taking care of it so much, and man, unless I'm making, you know, 2 loaves of bread every day, it just is like, what do I do with all this sourdough? And then I think I didn't get the feeding of it just right, and it just turned, you know, to vinegar, and I think I just killed it. It didn't get enough oxygen or whatever else it needed, and I gave up on the poor sourdough, man. That would be kind of fun to try again, though. I think it's neat that everyone is doing that, because yeast is hard to come by now. That's why everyone's trying the sourdough again, isn't it? And I just don't eat that much bread. Although I've heard people doing like pancakes out of it, and actually just throwing it on top of eggs and like an egg bake, and then just, you know, it has like that nice crust then too. I think there's a lot of things you can do with it, but I don't know. I haven't mastered that yet for sure. Ew, you brought a loaf and it was raw inside. Ugh, yeah, that's scary. All right, ooh, we only have 1 piece left. But look, every single piece we add, it just is shaping up our triangles here. All right, 1 last piece. We have F8. So let's start by doing our little trimmy trim. So with this, you have to do a backup stitch since the seam does not cross over each other. That's what I do, Barbara. I do like, you know, so like this line, for example, I'm along the line, and then I don't go over the edge here, so I just add a back tack. Like I go a back 1 stitch and forward 1 stitch, just to kind of, it's like tying a knot. It kind of locks it in place. I do know that some people do stitch over the edge a little bit, and then they don't do that little backup stitch, but I don't know. I like doing it this way still. I find that sometimes when you trim it and you're folding back the piece, sometimes, like if you go over the edge too much, like how I did here on purpose, but then it doesn't want to, you know, you get these weird tears in it. So I don't know, it's see which way you like doing it, but I do like adding that little back tag. It makes me feel like it's a little bit more secure. You know, and I also don't have like a fancy new machine that, you know, ties it off really nice when you're done, or like cuts the bobbin thread for you or anything like that. So I like, it's just another little security thing, I think, at least. Let me know, you guys, if you sew over the line a little bit when you do foundation paper piecing, or do you do that little back tack or anything? I'd be curious about that. All right, that was our last little add a quarter ruler cut. All right, and we have our last little template piece. I could probably do this without the template, but it just makes it so much easier. Like, my brain has to think that much less, and that makes it worth it to me just to have that second copy around. All right, last fabric. Oh, yeah, that's with my machine for sure, Barbara. I don't know about this one, but the machine I typically use, for sure, I feel like if I would tug on it at all, I'd get a couple stitches to pop out. So I do like doing that little back tack. I don't think my mom does that all the time, but her machine, I think, holds down all those stitches a lot better. Like for me, if I didn't add that little tack in there, yeah, they would be kind of popping out on me. Okay, so the diagonal now is the one we are getting on that 1/4 inch, or on that straight edge, I mean. Oh, Charlotte says it depends how focused I am. Mostly you sew past the line and don't backtrack. I should try it like that sometime. Like maybe the next time we do a foundation paper piece project like this. I know I'm kind of, you know, this is my last piece here. It'd be interesting to try just going over the edge a little bit. Because with this machine, too, it's a little extra step. I gotta flick I have a whole lever that I have to look at to do my little back stitch. So it's a little, I mean, not that that sounds involved or anything, but it's a little extra. All right, I cut this really big. I think we're for sure gonna cover our paper edge. Yep, not worried about that. I suppose on these edges I wouldn't have to. The edges that I'm sewing into the seam allowance. But even then, I don't know. It just holds things down a little bit better, I think. Oh, so Catherine's saying that the back tack adds a little bit more bulk. That's true. So maybe that'd be a reason to not have it. I guess I'm just... Maybe it's habit more than anything. So this time I'll just sew all the way along the edge. Even though it's a little different, I'm just going from seam allowance to seam allowance. But yeah, I don't like that feeling of my stitches coming apart. And without that little back tack in there, I get that feeling sometimes. Out of here, little pins. Okay, so that time I didn't. But yeah, like if I pull on this now, like those stitches can come apart. That's what I don't like. You could pull the top thread. Oh, that's true. You could pull the top thread to the back and tie it off. That is definitely an option. I have been doing that when I'm appliquing. So I never used to do that, Gina, but now when I applique where the stitching is exposed, if the stitching is exposed, I won't do that backwards stitch. I will pull it to the back and tie it off. I think it's just a little nicer, cleaner finish, especially when something's visible. But with this, it's not. So, and I'm just, yeah, concerned about it falling apart a little bit. I should try just that crossover technique, though. We'll try that next foundation paper piecing project. That's our last piece, you guys. So it still looks bumbly a little bit, right? So take like a snapshot of that in your head, because like we're gonna trim it out now, and it's gonna look so perfect. It's gonna look like it's well beyond the stage it's at now, because now it still looks a little jaggedy and stuff. So I'm gonna flip this around, and I'm going to trim a 1/4 inch from this inside line. So this inside line is our actual what we're going to end up sewing things on. So that's where we want to be, a 1/4 inch away. And I'm actually going to, well, we did try this with the add a 1/4 ruler. I'm not sure if I quite liked it, but I can kind of see this inner line on the add a 1/4, and I'm going to line that up with the inner line on here. All right, get my cutting glove on so I don't cut my fingers off. So you might cut a little paper away, but that's fine. We're not worried about the paper. We want that good 1/4 inch. We're going to be able to start putting the whole thing together soon. That's always the best part. But again, one of my favorite things about foundation paper piecing is that you can cut these crazy blobs without measuring really, and still end up with super perfect seam allowances. Like more perfect than than if you're just sewing on your own with just the machine. It's kind of magic. All right. Last piece off, and there we are, magically clean and perfect. I just think that step makes it always look so nice. All right, it's time to get our other pieces out. So here we have them all sitting here. So I'm just peeking at the instructions. It looks like we, before we get too far, we have to sew together this tree. So let's actually get it in order first. This guy goes like this. Oh, it's totally coming together though. Oh, I love how pale it looks. It's turning out super nice. Oh, Barbara, I am so happy to hear that. So Barbara says she's making some of the masks and her friends love them. Yay! I am hoping to make some more of those really soon here too. I'd like to have a few available. Oh, and you guys, I sent a ton of fabric to my brother. I think it went out today. So he's going to sew together some as well. And I'm excited to see what he does. All right, you guys, we are just pressing these together, or sewing them together, and then we're going to press each seam open, it looks like. So nothing has to line up, it looks like. So that's kind of a neat aspect of this design. A lot of times when you have one section and you sew it to another section, things have to be lined up perfectly. So like, you know, like what if if this line had to match up, for example, that would take a little extra work on our part. But for this, nothing looks like it has to be matched up. So all I'm going to do, I'm not even going to bother doing any matching at all. You know, normally I would try and match this corner to this corner and have it be just right. But I don't think I need to do anything. Let's just flip it over and sew like normal. I am going to sew along that line, because why not? That's my 1/4 inch. Why bother just trying to know the 1/4 inch of my machine when I have it laid out there? I'm just going to sew right along there. Yeah, so the designer of this block, Kitty Wilkin, she was thinking that I don't want people to have to worry about lining up all that stuff. Let's make it easy. So I think she designed her tree on purpose to be a little easier. I suspect. I don't know that, but I suspect it. All right, let's try that again. Get my thread underneath. I'm trying to get the thread underneath my foot here. instead of on top, because then if I'm pulling on it, it's not pulling directly on the needle, like the needle's not being pushed at, it's going underneath. Although it's getting awfully curly here. All right, let's see how I do here. And now here I would normally do a back tack too, and you know what? I think I'm gonna. It just makes me feel safer, like it's not gonna come apart on me. Oh, you and a friend made 40 for your son at his department. Oh gosh, they had none. That's exactly, we made them for John, my husband's aunt. She works at a hospital, and none of the nurses had any, like, personal protective equipment, basically. I think I don't know. Anything that they had were being used in the COVID-19 area, so they didn't have any by them. She helps in the baby deliveries and that sort of area of the hospital, and they didn't have any, so it's just crazy. So we made some for her and the staff there, and we'd like to make some more. All right, let's peek. All right, it's coming together. I think I might, before pressing this, I think I might just sew the other pieces onto here, because nothing looks like it has to match up really well. I think I'm just going to flip this guy around and sew him on too. Why not? Speed up the process a little bit instead of pressing as I go. All right, there we go. I think that'll be plenty good. Oh, Christy says, I made one for a friend in the Air Force. She's a major in the medical corps, and they never sent any. Oh, God, that's terrible. Yeah, it just gives me anxiety, and I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but I woke up this morning feeling like I had slept the entire night clenching my teeth. So I don't know if I was having anxiety dreams or what, but I just feel like, I don't know. This whole thing is just too much. Too much. All right. There we go. And last piece here. Oh, did I sew that on right? Yep. Yeah, it has this funny little nubbin down there, which is kind of cute. All right, and then this doesn't really have to line up with anything either, it looks like, so that's kind of cool. I'm gonna just align it here. Yeah, now normally I would spend a lot of time lining up all of these points, but in this case, in this particular design, I don't have to. Oh, I see, I didn't trim these off, and now look, they're totally in my way. You know what? I'm going to go back and trim them. You skip a step, and then you know why. Then you know why you had that step. All right, let's make sure I have this upright. I suppose it doesn't matter. I think it's the same either direction, but typically all the letters should be in the same direction. Oh, Nolene, me too. I clench my fists, and when it wake up, your arms are paining. Ugh, yeah. But I'm telling you, I had a headache all day, and my jaw still hurts. Like, it feels super stiff, and I think I was just clenching my teeth all night. I don't know. Ugh, I don't know. Did not get much done today. One of those days. I'm hoping tomorrow's amazing, because today was a little bit of a wash. But gotta be okay with that, I suppose. All right. The last one, it's still kind of in the machine a little. There we go. Oop. All right, so this piece, we just need to press. You know, at this point, you could tear the seam allowances pieces out. And you know what? I think I might actually do that, especially since nothing is really matching up. So this is what would go on next. Ooh, hopefully now these should be exactly the same height, and they're looking pretty good right now. So this will sew on like this, but again, since nothing has to match up, I don't actually need these seam allowances, because sometimes there'll be like markings in the seam allowance, so you just get it right at the right spot. Like, you know, again, like if this point had to match up perfectly with this point, for example, I mean, we'd be spending some time just matching up this point to like that on the back here. So we would be doing a lot of work there just to get that point exactly, so that when we're done, they line up perfectly. But that's not the case. We have kind of an open arena here. So I am going to go ahead and take out these papers in the seam allowance, just because it's going to get super annoying if we start to sew those in. So I'm going to come over here, and before we press, I'm going to just get right down here, and we are going to start tearing these away. So I have forgotten again, but every time I do this, someone mentions that a tweezer would be good for this, and they're totally right, and I always forget about it. But I'm just going to very gently tear away the papers in the seam allowance. The rest I'll get later. They're going to want to start popping out anyway by doing this. But this is just going to help me get just a flatter seam allowance. Really, I could probably take all these papers out right now, but I'm going to wait till I'm done sewing the whole thing. I like taking them out when the whole piece is done. Here's all my little fabrics, just the plain yellow and then the yellow with the flower. It was kind of fun drawing all those fabrics onto the template piece. Come on, little guy. There we go. So we stitched with that shorter stitch length, and that is helping us tear out the papers a little bit more. So the shorter stitch length just means that there's more stitches in a line. So there's more little punctures happening, right? So we're perforating the paper with each stitch. And so the more perforations should be helping us a bit to get these papers out. This is one of those steps that I always forget takes time, kind of like pressing and cutting. I just want to sew, right? This is one of those steps. Just take your time and take the papers out. So I know there are some people sew these. There's specialty papers that people can use for foundation paper piecing. I am just literally using just some copy paper or printer paper. But I think people have said that they use old like phone book pages or old newspaper, so that those both would be much thinner than this printer paper. But it is super nice to print it out, print the design. Yeah, so Barbara, this is where I'm happy that most of my stitches are back tacked. So like right here, that one doesn't look like it was, and that's kind of coming out. Ooh, that was not quite on the line. Those stitches. But yeah, where I back tacked, it's totally staying in place. Looks like I must not have back tacked on all of these when I was stitching this block. Yep, print and sew, that's it. All right, out of here, little papers. Don't need you. Making a little funny trash pile over here. Oh, did I miss one? Oh, nope, so that's all of them. I'm gonna go ahead and press these open. Gosh, I really could take all these papers out, but I think, I don't know, maybe I should. Sew section, I'm just gonna read what it says in the instructions. Sew section A to the tree unit, press, carefully remove all the foundation papers. Okay, so they're taking all the papers out at the end, so fine, I'll just do that too. Technically, because nothing has to line up, like no points have to match from piece to piece, I technically probably could just take all the paper out and we'd be good to go. But let's do it like the instructions say. Let's just do that. So I'm going to take all of these and press the seams open, which is one of my least favorite things to do. I know a lot of people swear by the open seams, that it's easier to match things up and stuff, but I don't know, I just don't, especially. I always burn my fingers, but it's making things a little less bulky, I suppose. There's a lot of bulk right there. All right, we'll have to see how that goes once we take the papers out. All right, I'm a little worried about pressing so close to my cutting board, so I'm gonna just move off of the board a little bit here to do the rest of this. I could have left the papers in as well here. Oh yeah, I could use the stiletto, that's true. Let's get the stiletto over here. I don't think I got all the paper out there. You know, and typically I don't like pressing on this side of the papers either, because I don't want all this, the ink on my computer, or on my ironing board. This is from that last project. I gotta clean my iron yet. Stay. I just want them all to stay. All right, I think that's the best we're gonna get there. So let's take a look at this and get this sewn together here. So this guy goes like this. And you know what? I think I'm going to sew with this side up just so I can make sure that all these seams stay flat. Now these should match up perfectly now. I think the papers aren't quite so much, but I think the fabric is, my paper's starting to tear off here. Yeah, I think we're good enough. Let's do this. Oh, your least favorite part is pulling out the paper. Yolanda, you know, I feel like it should be fun, but I think you're right. I'm not sure it's I like it at all either. In theory, it should be super fun, right? You're gonna pull out all these little papers. But at that point, I just feel like I'm done with the project, and now I have a whole nother step that takes a long time. So there's my little back tack. All right, I'm gonna get the stiletto here for sure to just kind of hold down these pieces. And you know, now there's gonna be a little seam allowance trapped in there, but we'll get it. Ooh, what's happening here? Oh, I don't think I opened that seam even. There we go. All right. So I think now we will press that one as well. I think I will take the those seam allowances out as well. That might be a little tough. Ooh, I did not line things up perfectly either, but I think, you know what? I think let's just press them open with the papers. I'd rather just do it all at once, but here we are. It's coming together. Definitely looking cute. So let's just press it. Press those seams open, even though they have the paper, and we'll do that. Oh, do you do this, Gretchen, on a water-soluble sulky? That's interesting. So you could print right onto the sulky and then just get this whole thing in water afterwards. Huh. I've never tried that before. All right. And last up. Oh, so I'm not sure what you guys are talking about with the zoo, but it made me think of something that I saw today. So maybe that's what you guys are talking about. I'm not sure. Let me know. But did you hear this thing? Some farm is doing it. Maybe this is what you're talking about even. I don't know. But apparently, you know, everyone's doing these Zoom video calls and all that, or whatever, Google Hangouts or whatever they're doing their video calls on. Apparently, for $100, you can have a llama. Oh, the live cam. So Gretchen, that is what you're talking about. You can have, live streaming zoos. Okay, so this is a little different. So, in your next Zoom call for work or for family, you could have your very own llama be one of your attendees in the meeting. That's what this is. So you can literally hire this farm for like $100 to have a llama be one of your like, you know, other members in the group, like one of your staff people or one of the other employees in the meeting. I just thought that was the best. And what a creative way for a farm to get in on all of, you know, the live streaming and what else is that everyone has to do now. But it showed like all the heads of the people in the meeting, and one of them was this llama. Oh my God. Oh, and the funny thing, it's called, so there's a, like Zoom, there's another kind of brand like Zoom called Go to Meeting, like just GO to Meeting. So the service is called Goat to Meeting. So like Go to Meeting. I thought it was clever. So you can have a goat or a llama or some other farm animal be one of your other people in the meeting. Oh, yes, you guys. So I will talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. So I did an interview today with OESD, and they are a machine embroidery company. So, you know, we do the hand embroidery. They're doing the machine embroidery, and they are doing a line of penguin and fish characters of designs to make them so that they're machine embroidered, but they actually look hand embroidered still. So, you know, if hand embroidery isn't for you, or you need to get something done super quick or whatever, now there's going to be a few machine embroidery pieces that are the penguin and fish look. So I am so excited about that. I will share more of that with you guys tomorrow. I'll do an email about it too, but they did some great work, and so I did an interview, a Facebook Live with them today. I think I posted it, or John posted it over in the Penguin and Fish Crafters group. I'll repost it on this page as well. But that was really fun today. All right, you guys, it looks amazing. I love it so much. So I need to still press this open, and then I think I'll press it a ton from the front, and then I think we'll take all these papers out, and then we'll have to press it again. So I'm just peeking at the time, and it's already late, but I would like to get these papers out. Gosh, this is, oops, sorry, I bumped shouldered you. So this is like it for this block. So we could actually, I think we could finish that other block in 3 days. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I think we can do it. So I might consider doing that other block yet. But yeah, so I actually have a little machine embroidery sewing machine that it's so basic, but oh gosh, I need a computer to hook it up in. That's the tricky part. But it would be fun. One of the embroideries is the sloth that we'll be doing. So it would be fun to stitch up the sloth next week, and then maybe do the machine embroidery too. That would be kind of a fun thing if I can figure out how to hook all that up. We'll have to see. I love it so much. So I'm going to take the papers out now. Again, that's going to take a bit of time here, but let's just settle in for a few more minutes. I know it's already pretty late. One of the ways that you can kind of get this going, though, is if you pull at the diagonals, see it's already starting to tear. Sometimes that can get this all started. And, you know, I'm just going to go to where it wants to be here, where it wants me to start. So right there. Okay, there is one part I do like about taking these papers off, and I like when it starts to feel like fabric again, when there's no more paper, and you get to see your block for the first time as just like a perfectly sewn block. That's the magic of foundation paper piecing, is just everything looks like you've sewn it perfect. Like there, you get to see your perfect seam allowances for the first time. Can you load in the design first? For the embroidery, yeah, so I would have to, the machine embroidery, I'd have to load in the design. Oh, so no, that's not, okay, so my machine embroidery machine was $400, and it's so basic. I think I have to, so I get what you're saying. Can't you load the designs into the embroidery machine first? On normal ones, you could do that. So a lot of times it just has a USB, or you can load them right onto the computer on your, the computer that's built into your embroidery machine. Mine does not do that. I need to have an actual PC. It can't be a Mac. I need to have an actual PC next to the sewing machine with a cord going from one to the other for them to talk. So it might take a little bit of work actually for me to, I haven't used the machine in a little while just because it is a kind of a bear of a machine, but it gets the job done when I need something. So it still works. But yeah, I compared to, like, I don't know, the $10,000 machines that they can be, I guess it works. But yes, so I'd have to load everything up. Oh, Denise, I've never tried that before. Spritzing these with water. That'd be kind of interesting. I think I have... No, that's starch. I was like, I think I have some water near me. You have a brother, 400. Does that, I'm not as familiar with, well, actually, I guess I'm not that familiar with, I'm familiar with my old machines, but not with all the fancy new machines. Is the brother 4000, does that have the embroidery features? I know a lot of the new sewing machines, even just the sewing machines, have some sort of embroidery feature on, which is pretty cool. Oh, you have a cord too that hooks up to it? Oh, but you can save a couple designs to the machine. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's something one of these days I may have to invest in, is just a machine embroidery thing. Sometimes it's just super nice to, you know, if you need a label for a baby quilt or something quick, you just type their name in there, how much they weigh, and stick a cute little design up there. Oh man, your machine uses floppy disk. That's pretty good. That floppy disks, man, that's one of those things that if you show a kid, they're not even going to know what the heck you're showing them. Even if you explained it, at this point, I don't think they'd know. Which is kind of funny. Pretty crazy. Oh yeah, like, oh, okay, so the brother is a combo sewing machine embroidery. See, that'd be cool. If I were ever to invest in a new machine, you know, I've just been using these vintage machines, which I'm totally fine with, but if for some reason I was investing in a brand spanking new machine, having some sort of embroidery feature would be pretty cool. It's just another tool in the toolbox, you know? Doesn't mean that you stop doing hand embroidery or that you're, you know, gonna do tons of machine embroidery stuff now, but when you need something like that, it's pretty handy. Ooh, a serger. See, now that's something I'd like to figure out too. The whole clothing thing, period. That is a whole topic I would like to dig into. I've brought that up here before, and I got some really good books for like pattern drafting, like legit pattern drafting, like what they do at, you know, the Fashion Institute of Technology and stuff. I just haven't dug into it yet, but I would love to do that. My math brain likes that. I like the idea of, with just measuring, being able to draft a whole outfit without even, you know, seeing it, just knowing based on measurements how to do it. I love that idea. One of these days I will dig into that. But yeah, a serger to do all that sort of sewing would be nice. Oh, and then, you know, a long arm quilting machine would be fun. And, you know, a big industrial sewing machine with like a leather walking foot or something on there to do like bags and canvas and all that. Whew, there's a lot that could be purchased. If I magically had all those machines, that would be a pretty fun day. All the tools, that's what they are. They're tools for ideas, you know? Oh man, one of these days I'm going to have a giant barn that's going to have every crafting, artsy tool that I ever might want in there. Oh, drafting patterns was one of your favorite things. Not that hard. I love the idea. I actually want to do that for a face mask. I want to measure like John's exact, measurements and make like a totally custom face mask, which sounds crazy, but you know, we're in those days. But I thought that would be kind of a fun thing to draft. Oh, Sylvia, I think you're right. So tomorrow is the 15th. And the 15th is when Aurifil, the thread company, that's the thread we're using here, they're doing their block of the month that we're working on here as well. And that comes out on yes, the 15th of every month. So yes, we should see the new Aurifil block. We won't be doing it for a couple weeks yet. Next week we're doing the sloth embroidery, hand embroidery, and then after that we'll be doing the Aurifil block, that last week of the month. One more piece here. There's a couple little nubbins of paper here and there, but I'm not going to worry too much about them. They'll dissolve eventually, I'm sure. Yay! Yay! Okay, I'm gonna give it a press on the back quick because now I think I can actually flatten some of these seam allowances now that the paper is not there anymore. Oh, I just love that it feels like fabric again. Okay, and then I will flip it around and we'll give it a good press from the front. And then we will have a finished block. Oh, I think I forgot to press this before taking the papers out. Maybe I didn't. All right, let's flip this. I'm just trying to get these flat enough so that when I flip, they'll stay in place here. Oh, yeah, I don't think I'd embroider on a mask either. That would, I thought that would be super cute too. I was thinking about that, but yeah, you know, you don't want to introduce any holes anywhere that are unnecessary. I actually kind of feel about that a little bit about sewing on the front of it too, but I think there's enough layers and I don't know. How is one to know? It's just so crazy, the whole thing. Okay, so my seam allowances are a little mushed, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. Just try and flatten that tree out. Got some fuzzles happening here. Okay, you guys. Here we are! Ah, it is cute. So I love how subtle it turned out here. Let me show you guys the one from the book again. Just so you can compare a bit. So it's really pretty with all the colors, but this definitely matches my quilt. I am doing that pale quilt with, you know, this is as bright as we get in my quilt. Just all the pale colors here. Yay! Awesome, you guys. Wow. Okay, so we have 3 more days that we can work on the Splendid Sampler here. And, so Adventure Abounds. Do I have a... Oh, I do. This guy is getting crossed off. All right. 1 more done on here. So, like I said, I was thinking I would just go down the line. Let's just crank these things out, kind of go down my list here. So I was thinking the next one is on page 74. It's American Spool, and that one looked quick. So this one, it looks like something we could finish. Here we go. So here's one way of doing it. Here's without the flag. I don't think I have any fabric that the flag would quite work. However, I do have this kind of stars. That would be cute for right there. I don't know what I have for stripes though. So we'll have to dig through some fabric. But all in all, this does look, you know, it's sewing, you know, a couple rectangles and squares together. You know, this is more just let's cut up all the pieces. I think we could maybe finish this in the next 3 days, and that would be amazing. It would be so good to finish 2 blocks. Well, I suppose there's embroidery and applique on here, but maybe we can still do that too. We'll see. I forgot that there is actual, you know, more stuff to happen on here, but maybe we can still even get that done. I think we can do all of this in 1 day. If we could do the cutting and the sewing of the piece in 2 days, I still think we could do it in 3 days. So that would be amazing. Then we'd get 2 cut off or 2 crossed off this week. Whew, there is a lot of unchecked things here yet, though. I think with the next one, I think we might be at the halfway point. I think this one's 48 or 49. I think it's 49. Awesome, you guys. Another one bites the dust. Exactly. All right, you guys, I'm going to turn you around and we'll call it an evening here. All right. So thanks again for joining me. I check out that interview that I did today. It's posted in the Penguin and Fish Crafters group, and I'll post it here as well. I'm still letting people into the group, but here we are. I think it turned out just really kind of sweet. You can see all the seam allowances in there, but once it's on the batting, I don't think you'll see any of that. This one's going to be fun to quilt. We could do a little I don't know, tree leaves, and I don't know, there's a whole pile that we could do here. Oh, do I have any started but unfinished? I think we are caught up. You know, that might be something to do tomorrow. Tomorrow, I will break out what we have and see the state of the state. I think we're done with all of them, though. I think I started to just stick with it until the pieces were done. Oh, Kathy, you can do a search for Penguin and Fish Crafters group. It should pop up when you start typing that in into Facebook here, and then click join. I'm still working on letting people in. I'll work on that a little bit more tonight. So awesome. I appreciate you guys joining there and sharing what you're working on. It's just the best to see everyone making stuff. Okay, you guys, Aurifil Block is being released tomorrow, and we could take a peek at that as well. So I'll see you later. Have a great evening, everyone. Good night.